Want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. The World Series may be over, but we still have a lot of football and hockey to talk about and bet on. Bet pre-game, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19 and over. Please play responsibly.
The Boston Bruins. I wonder what you're going to say about those guys.
Well, you can triple underline the Bruins, not just double, because they have all the positives that New Jersey does, and they have lots of players that have been there and done that. And we're really close to winning a Stanley Cup in 2019 with the core of this team largely still intact. Really impressive start to the year. I would have, I'm not sure if we did this in the preseason, but I know what my mindset was at that time. If we were talking about teams likely to fall off, I had the Bruins in mind entering this season. I wasn't going to say they were going to miss the playoffs outright, but I just thought it was going to be a tougher early stretch with the injuries they had, with some of the offseason changes. I think highly of Bruce Cassidy as a coach and wasn't sure how it would go under Jim Montgomery. Well, again, if any of those preseason questions have been answered pretty resoundingly here to start the year. And so I would not be the least bit surprised to see Boston parlay this into a special season. And, it's pretty cool too. Patrice Bergeron nearly retired, right? And here he is, maybe with a chance to win the thing before actually going off into the sunset.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting story. What about the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I'll say contender. I'm a little closer to this team than the others in terms of watching them more and being around them day to day. I don't see what we've seen. Again, I'm going off the results. What we've seen so far, I don't think they're playing like a contender just yet, but I'm reasonably confident that their top players, namely Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner, are going to catch some fire compared to where they've been in the season. And I know that management has been pretty active in trying to improve the team. I think that, they're going to have cap space and they're going to make some trades between now and the deadline. And so I'm breaking my own strict rules here about how I'm going to label this, but I don't think it'd be fair to call them a pretender. I mean, even that they're winning all the games they have in November without their full lineup, with the injuries they've had, I think that they're deserving of the C word rather than the P word. But I'm going to have to see more. I think when we revisit this, it'll be a little easier, deeper into the schedule, because I want to see what moves they make. I think that they understand they need both help at forward and defense. And I think Kyle Dubas will make moves in that regard, but they're still winning games with the team they have now. And I think that gives them the small C contender status.
Let's go to the Detroit Red Wings, who are third in the Atlantic Division.
I love a good story as much as anyone else. I love that Ville Husso has gone there and done really well, with a goaltender that was a UFA last year, but hadn't had a lot of experience. Didn't know how that would work out. They made some savvy signings. They're definitely an improved team, but they're a pretender. I don't see them as a huge threat to anyone at all. And I think, in fact, that they'll have a tough time hanging on to that playoff spot as the season goes along. So, they're on the rise, but I don't think they're there yet.
Let's get to the wild card teams. Actually, there's two teams tied for a spot, but they trail the New York Rangers at 24 points.
So the Rangers? Are you asking?
So the Ranger are the team I'm asking, and then the other two teams actually that are tied are Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh.
Okay, Rangers and Tampa contender. This is a tough year for the Lightning. They've been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. I'm not sure our memories, just because it all happened during the pandemic. It's hard to remember what's what, but they played a lot of hockey. So if this year ends up being a bit of a step back for Tampa, I don't think anyone would be too surprised, just given they've played like an extra season during the last 3 seasons because of all the playoff games. But I still, until proven otherwise, I still think they're going to show up in the playoffs and be a really hard out for whomever they play in the first round. So they're still a contender for me. The Rangers, it hasn't gone great this year for them. I think that they've, faced maybe a little bit of adversity early in the season, but they showed us enough last year. I mean, I was sleeping on them last year in this exercise. I'm not doing it again. I think that they're another team that will be active as we get closer to the deadline. they could very well add Patrick Kane. That's going to change the whole conversation about their team if they do so. And I just don't see any glaring holes. So they got some of that experience last year. It's been a slower start to the season, but for me, they're a contender. And the Penguins, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put the pretender status on them. I am aware in my preseason predictions, I had them going to the Stanley Cup final. So this is an about face 6-7 weeks later, but it doesn't feel like it's happening there in Pittsburgh. I know it's not, maybe that answer is lacking a little bit, but I just don't know that they're going to be able to put it all together. Look at the age of some of their players. They've had a bit of a bounce back here after a long losing streak at the end of October, but I don't know. To me, they're not a serious threat to win the Stanley Cup this year.